Jason actually, because we got into a bit of a time trouble, he actually recorded the basses at night while we were sleeping with the assistant engineer Toby. And we would like before we start, we'd say, you do this and that, just play through with him a couple of times, and he would like kind of perfect that during the night. So the bass tracks on Injustice for All are actually really, really, really good, though nobody ever heard them except me, Jason, and a couple of other guys. And then we come in the morning and check it out, and everybody was really happy. So there you go. But it was slightly different because he was new and also because he was so much a fan.
Were you surprised with how in the final mix the bass essentially isn't there?
Oh yeah, I was like, what the? I'm like, okay, that's the way to do it, but I think some of my rough mixes are actually better than that. But I mean, buy the huge. The anniversary box, the big with the vinyls and stuff. There's one full CD of my rough mixes. That sounds pretty good. Maybe we should turn the bass down on all music from now.
Did you ever talk to Jason about the missing bass? Did you ever get his thoughts on it?
No, unfortunately not. No, I'd love to. I was supposed to meet him a couple of years ago, and then timing and all this stuff, and it went haywire. Because it would have been great to have heard what for me and him to sit down and talk about it.
Do you think they intentionally lowered the bass for Jason as a coping mechanism for Cliff or to haze Jason? Like, what was the logic there exactly?
I have no idea. I have to ask Lars about that. I think, but this is purely speculation, I think that they did it to get some kind of reaction from Jason, because what they hated the most about Jason was that he was a fan. And he was never like disagreeing or anything or stating his own opinion. I think they were waiting for him to kind of state his place in the band, like, this is me, and say no to shit, And I think they probably did it to get a reaction, and when it didn't come, that was the way the album turned out.
Interesting.
And he more or less, took it because he was so happy he was in Metallica because it was his favorite band. But this is just me speculating. I have nothing that can kind of support that thing. That's just speculation. It could be that it's because they were sad about Cliff. I don't know. You're going to have to ask the band that. But it's a fact that it was Lars and James that turned the bass down.
You've never just spoken to them just casually, like asking like why they did that?
No. I mean, in my opinion, once you released an album, that's it. I see albums and music as statements in time. So once it's released, that's it. That was how it was at the specific time it was released. And, remixing Injustice for All and turning up the bass is, tried it all the time. It would still not be the original, right? It would be kind of a copy, something that wasn't the original album.
Did it surprise you when Jason left the band?
Yes and no. I never really thought about it. I just thought he must have had his reasons. I didn't look into it that much since I was not working with him. And I was not the closest to Jason, even though we did an album together. My history with the other guys go further back. So it was, I really liked Jason. I thought he was a super great bass player. And if he had like kind of stated his, stood his ground in the beginning and kind of said, no, shut up, I don't want to do that. And, made his mark in the band, which he did later on, but they still called him New Kid after 12 years, right? Then he probably would still be bass player in Metallica. But I have no reason to know what the hell was going on. I mean, you can see as much as you want in the Some Kind of Monster movie, and because they're also kind of, what, he left? They were like, what? I mean, but there is tension. There is obviously tension. So I was surprised and not surprised. I was like, shit.
Did you ever talk to Jason after he left the band?
No, I was supposed to meet him, but then something came up. We're still friends, I mean, there's no bad feelings there.
So Flemming, what was the atmosphere like in Metallica when Cliff was in the band compared to when Jason was in the band?
All the time Cliff was in the band, it was like these four kids that had known each other for a long time, that kind of, it's us against the world, and they were all, they're basically fighting the Metallica fight. We need to make Metallica the best thing ever. It kind of changed a bit when Jason entered the band, which is also well documented, because Jason was a fan and they actually hated that about him. That's probably also part of the story about the missing bass on Injustice for All. They just probably tried to get a reaction from him, but he was still too new in the band to do anything. I mean, I'm guessing what they wanted him to do was to speak out and be his own personality, so, which is always more interesting than, fans can be annoying, right? Everybody who just says yes and you're great to everything you do, that's not very good. And I think eventually he got fed up with being, the new kid for such a long time. But, during the Justice for All recordings, that thing hadn't come yet. So it was, as far as I'm concerned, all hunky-dory. We were all happy and doing it. Jason actually, because we got into a bit of a time trouble, he actually recorded the basses at night while we were sleeping with the assistant engineer Toby, and we would like before we start, we'd say, you do this and that, just play through with him a couple of times, and he would like kind of perfect that during the night. So the bass tracks on Injustice for All are actually really, really, really good, though nobody ever heard them except me, Jason, and a couple of other guys. And then we come in the morning and check it out, and everybody was really happy. So there you go. But it was slightly different because he was new, and also because he was so much a fan.
Were you surprised with how in the final mix the bass essentially isn't there?
Oh yeah, I was like, what the? I went, okay, that's the way to do it, but I think some of my rough mixes are actually better than that. But I mean, buy the huge the anniversary box, the big with the vinyls and stuff. There's one full CD of my rough mixes. That sounds pretty good. But yeah, I mean, it's a statement in time. People always ask, why don't they ask you to remix it? No, because it's out. It's done, and then that's the way it is. You can't go back and change it because it would be something totally different. It was like when McCartney remixed Let It Be. It sounded really boring because he took all the quirkiness that Phil Spector had done. Those kind of things. So I mean, just leave it. It is the way it's supposed to be. So yeah, I'm a fan of that album anyway. Even though I can't hear the bass. Also, that album is probably one of the albums in the history of music that inspired most bands to start. I mean, there's a lot of metal bands out there that if you ask them, why did you start the band? They say, well, we heard Injustice for All and we want to be like those guys. So, maybe we should turn the bass down on all music from now.
Did you ever talk to Jason about the missing bass? Did you ever get his thoughts on it?
No, unfortunately not, no. I'd love to. I was supposed to meet him a couple of years ago, and then, timing and all this stuff, and it went haywire, because it would have been great to have heard what, for me and him to sit down and talk about it. But I think it's a mix between them trying to get a reaction from Jason and them not, them meaning Lars and James, not having processed Cliff's dead yet, and actually still mourning. And not come to terms with the fact that he wasn't in the band anymore because he was dead. So yeah, but I don't know. I mean, you're gonna have to talk to the guys about that. But that's my guessing.
One thing I've never really understood about the whole situation is that even if you're looking to haze Jason for whatever reason, by removing the bass, the whole album suffers to a certain extent. Unless, of course, the band felt it sounded better without the bass.
They probably thought that the bass was going to be like, the low end of the guitar riff, which is basically what it is now. I'm pretty sure if you had the mix up and you like turned the bass off, you would hear the difference. So it's definitely there, although it's not as pronounced as it is in a lot of other albums. But yeah, it is strange, yeah. But, you know, I mean, maybe they sat down and heard it and went, that's fucking great. I can hit my drums are loud, the guitars are loud, the vocal are loud. Fine. Next.
You brought up a point a couple of moments ago about Cliff's death, which of course is one of the biggest tragedies in metal history. For you personally, how did you hear the news and what was your reaction to it, if I may ask?
It was horrible. I was sleeping at my house and my mom called me because she gets up earlier than I do. And she said, one of the guys in Metallica died. I was like, what? And she didn't know which one it was. So I had to, make a lot of phone calls and just to find out what the hell is going on. But it was in all news in Denmark had the story. So, and this was before the internet. So, you had to listen to radios and, call people. But yeah, it was devastating. I mean, they were on the way to play a gig in Copenhagen. We were going to meet up that afternoon, right? And bus fucking turns over. When Cliff was in the band, they were, you gotta understand the 3 albums I did with Metallica, it was like on the rise. Every album just went one level higher all the time, and it's always easier when you can see it's getting better and better and better. Once you get to the top and have to stay there, that's when all the problems sets in, which everybody knows if they've seen their movie.
No, for sure. So what was Cliff like in the studio? From what I've heard, he was the most musically gifted. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, he was the only one that actually been schooled in music. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if he was the better musician. I rate James pretty high up there as one. I think James is probably the best rhythm guitar player in the world. But he was definitely the most schooled music-wise, and some of the parts he came up with were things that nobody in a metal band would ever have done except for Cliff. So yeah, he was great, and he was just a mellow, kind, dude that we hung out. We recorded at night, and we kind of made it so that we started at 7. Actually, on Master of Puppets, we started at 6 at my house, and they came at 8. My wife made dinner for them, and then we discussed what we needed to do during the night, and we'd walk to the studio from my house, which was like 3 minutes. And once we'd finished recording, it would be 4 or 5, something like that. And they would always make sure they got to the hotel, because they were staying at a hotel on Master of Puppets, because now they were on a major label, so they could afford it. And the morning buffet opened at 6, so they always they were there at 6 so they could eat breakfast buffet and then go to bed and sleep till they got up and got to my house to eat dinner. So during that time, once we're done and they were going to waste an hour or so, we were sitting, having a beer, playing poker. He liked playing poker. So yeah, he was just a cool dude to hang out with. He was really nice, really gentle. Knew a lot of stuff about things, so you could sit and talk with him for hours and hours. He was great.